Hello, greetings. Stuck on this Shias will not understand, and I fail to understand them right now in Surah Ahzab verses. So Moses felt frightened. We said, "Don't be afraid, surely thou will overcome." So, and during the time of Adam and where this Satan went to misguide Adam and Eve, God kept quiet for a great reason at that time. So this is what they will say, the Shias, that Allah was quiet in Surah Ahzab when Prophet Muhammad made Zaid his son practice this foolish pagan religion, custom, or pagan custom. So here I am, infallibility of the Prophet. Let's see the table of contents and introduction. Who wrote all this? Where's the author's name? Infallibility of the prophets. Of the Prophet. Oh my God, this is very, very long. So I have to go into the preface. I hope I don't plagiarize anything. Introduction. Respected reader, Assalamu alaikum. The editor of this work is pleased to announce the release of the Shia Encyclopedia. Best wishes, Ali Abbas, editor. So it doesn't really focus well when I upload it. I can see it, I think. Sometimes it focuses, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to the Shias. So this I've taken the infallibility, introduction, long-term custom of the Prophet, incident of Mubala, matrimonial relationships, best wife of the Prophet versus the envious, the most beloved wife. So a part of this I've taken. Infallibility from this whole, it's a book. Who offended the blind? Infallibility of the Prophets Part 2, Infallibility of the Prophets Part 3, and so Leadership and Infallibility Part 1. Okay, this is from the Shia website. al-islam.org, al-islam.org. So introduction, preliminary notes. Okay, so these are all compiled by LL Bait Diploma Project. I think articles, Shia Encyclopedia, release of the Shia Encyclopedia. Best wishes, Ali Abbas, editor. So sorry if I've made mistakes here. I apologize. Anyhow, the infallibility, I had to check this. So in Surah Ahzab, they would say that the reason why Prophet Muhammad practiced this foolish custom of pagan Arabs is because it was so, they were so strongly into this. So he had to first practice it and then himself. So he did it sinlessly. And to break this custom and then say you can, marry your adopted son's divorcees or divorced wives. Because your adopted sons are not your biological sons or natural sons. It was a heavy, strong practice of the pagan Arabs of that time. So Prophet Muhammad took it on himself. Okay, so this is a part of what the Shias would say about these verses. Whoops. Okay, so before proceeding to Surah Ahzab, just this, that the most certainly you are on sublime morality, brackets, exalted standard of character. Quran, Surah 68, verse 4. A man committing mistakes does not deserve such compliments. All these verses clearly prove two things. Number one, the authority of the Holy Prophet upon the believers was unlimited and all-comprehensive. Any order given by him under any condition, in any place, at any time, was to be obeyed unconditionally. Supreme authority was given to him because he was sinless, masoom, in brackets masoom, close brackets, and free from all types of errors and sins. Otherwise, Allah would not have ordered us to obey him with no questioning or doubt. So you need to remember this. If I forget, and most certainly you are on sublime morality. Quran, verse 4, Surah 68. Surah 68, verse 4. A man committing mistakes does not deserve such compliments. So, Prophet Muhammad, here when he made a mistake, in Surah Ahzab we are told it was unintentional. So if any points I've spoken in length about this Surah Ahzab, the things I don't understand, and the Shias have failed to convince me about Surah Ahzab. So, going to open multilingual Surah Ahzab, going to go to Surah Ahzab now. Okay, so here we are told in the commentary section. Sorry, last time I made a mistake when I started with the commentary. I did not say it's the commentary and which is the verse from the Quran. I apologize greatly. Now I've started Ali commentary on verse 1 of Surah Ahzab. 33 chapter of the Quran. The Holy Prophet follows only that which is revealed to him, as has also been confirmed in verses 1 to 9 of An-Najm. The verb, the ma'luna, what you do, in plural, confirms this interpretation. So remember, the Holy Prophet follows only that which is revealed to him. Now, here we are told in verse 2 of Surah Ahzab, and follow what is revealed to you from your Lord. This is verse 2 of Surah Ahzab. And follow what is revealed to you from your Lord. Surely Allah is aware of what you do. Shocker. I've just read one translation. I have 3 translations here. The 3rd verse of Surah Ahzab. And rely on Allah, and Allah is sufficient for a protector. So, since he made a mistake here to prove to the people that this was a foolish custom, and he had to take such a big step to ask Zaid to get married to, no, to adopt first. He adopted Zaid, and then he asked Zaid, and he made the people a witness there. So, and then he's told, the people, in the commentary it says, of Ali, not Aka Mehdi Buya. So the Shias would say, no, we believe in his infallibility, and we cannot question God's wisdom in this. When he practices this foolish custom himself, when the Prophet practices this pagan foolish custom, we are told it's a foolish custom of the pagans. So then these two have to sacrifice their lives also, marriage lives, because Zainab bin Josh was not, didn't agree, was, disagreeing to marry Zaid. And Holy Prophet said it wasn't a suggestion, as some of us Shias really didn't know that this verse 36 came up, that you have to obey Allah and the Prophet, what they give you, what they have decided for you, you have to obey Allah and His Messenger. And Imam Muhammad al-Baqir says that al-Baqir, our 5th Imam, Shia's 5th Imam, that you should, this verse came down for, then Zainab had to get married to Zaid, because it asked the believers to obey Allah and the Messenger's decision. So what happened is these two, Zaid bin Harith and Zainab bin Josh, had to get married against Zainab bin Josh's will, and obeyed Allah and His Messenger's decision and proposal. Otherwise the believers would have gone, they would go astray if they didn't. So this is the thing that they had to sacrifice. They had to get involved in this for the betterment of God's wisdom, and we cannot question God's wisdom. So something that I don't understand, I cannot accept it. let's say if I put myself in Zainab and Josh's place, would I be able to do this? Get married to Zaid, and then then Zainab and Josh, at least Prophet Muhammad married. They would say that Prophet Muhammad married her after, so it was she got a very high position, Ummul Mumineen position, mother of the faithful, mother of the faithfuls, believers, mother of the faithful believers. She was given that high status. Then I say that, okay, she was given that high status and her sacrifice was temporary. The marriage was painful for Zaid bin Harith and Zainab bin Josh. They couldn't maintain it. But shouldn't they have maintained it? That he may, it says, right, in this Surah Ahzab, same Surah that I'm on, sorry, I made this mistake. Verse 36, right? So, although, like, they had to make this temporary sacrifice, painful in marriage, and it behoves not a believing man and a believing woman that they should have any choice in their matter when Allah and His Messenger have decided a matter. And whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger, he surely strays off a manifest straying, astray in error manifest. So two different translations in the end. From beginning to end, Shakir, verse 36, pick till the end, just astray in error manifest. So they have gone on the wrong path. Yusuf Ali, wrong path, clearly wrong path. So would you do this? Would you obey the messenger and Allah in His wisdom sacrifice? You would, since you're a believer. Even if you don't like something, it is good for you. God has said this in another verse, another surah somewhere, so, or maybe this surah. I just, but would you would give your life for him and his religion. So you get married, and this would be a sacrifice, clearly, right? Because why didn't Zainab and Josh then maintain this marriage? Because this was an order. My aunt, who was doing research, said that on this whole thing, our religion, said that it was a suggestion by Rasulullah. And we believed somehow that it was just a suggestion. No, it was an order. Muhammad al-Baqir, Imam Muhammad bin Ali al-Baqir, according to him, here I'm reading the commentary of Ali. According to Imam Muhammad bin Ali al-Baqir, wanted to exercise. So her brother, Abdullah, Zainab bin Josh's brother, okay, let me just, at the time of their marriage, when she was informed by the Holy Prophet, she did not like the proposal. At the time of their marriage, refer to the commentary verses. Surah about Zaid, Zainab, and the Holy Prophet. Zaid's marriage with the Holy Prophet's cousin Zainab, daughter of Jahsh, was celebrated in Makkah 8 years before the Hijrat. At the time of their marriage, when she was informed by the Holy Prophet, she did not like the proposal. So her brother Abdullah bin Jahsh and both of them, according to Imam Muhammad bin Ali al-Baqir, wanted to exercise their freedom of choice in this matter. Then this verse was revealed. We must not put our own wisdom in competition with Allah's wisdom. We must accept it. This is not a verse. It's just explaining the verse. 36 of Surah Ahzab. We must accept it loyally and do the best we can to carry it out. We must make our will consonant to the will of Allah. Also refer to Surah Nisa 65, commentary of Surah Nisa 65. Zainab the highborn could not reconcile herself with Zaid. Both were good believers and both loved the Holy Prophet. Remember that if you love Allah, follow me, Allah will love you. And so when you love Allah and you follow the Holy Prophet, there should be no problem in your life whatsoever, right? You know what the love of Allah is. Allah will love you. That's like you love the whole universe, you love everything for Allah's sake. How can there be a problem in marriage? Zainab was highborn, could not reconcile. Now the marriage is breaking. Do you get the contradictions here that I'm pointing out? That the Shias will not point out to you. So, Zainab the highborn could not reconcile herself with it. But isn't she supposed to maintain when she's... It's not only that you get married and then you say, no, Ya Rasulullah, I cannot live with Zaid. You can't change your mind, keep changing your mind and breaking your oath, marriage oaths and all this. With the blessing of Rasulullah and Allah, since you are believers, you have the blessing, you have the grace of Allah, you have the love of Allah, you have the love of the Messenger, you're following the Messenger, what could go wrong? Your sins are forgiven. Remember that verse. I don't remember it word by word, but you know that verse? If you love Allah, follow me, Allah will love you, and also your sins will be forgiven. So if Allah will love you, then that love, you know what it is to love Allah, being loved by Allah. Right now you love Allah, but Allah does not love you. If you follow this Prophet, we are told in the Quran verse, then only Allah will love you and forgive your sins. So there should be no problem in the marriage. Zainab bin Jahsh is supposed to maintain this marriage. Sorry, I have to take it slowly and keep going on like this, because you see, the Shias have the Shias considered this? The marriage did not work. What would they say to this? See, here it says, it is not fitting for a believer, man or woman, when a matter has been decided by Allah and His Messenger, to have any option about their decision. If anyone disobeys Allah and His Messenger, if anyone disobeys Allah and His Messenger, he is indeed on a clearly wrong path. So why should the marriage be painful? Why isn't Zainab bin Josh, why wasn't Zainab bin Josh accepting highborn? You already know when you're marrying Zaid what position he has. He was an adopted son of Rasulullah, not a Sahaba, not a companion. And here we are told not to disobey Allah and His Messenger. So what do the Shia say about this? Like, should you not maintain that marriage? So you are forcefully asked to obey and disregard your feelings or anything you dislike. So we are told to disregard. In some, if you dislike a thing, it may be that this is better for you. In Surah Nisa, I think. I'm not sure. So that means that we are told in Surah Nisa, oh God, I have to go very slowly. Surah Nisa, right? Surah Nisa, see, O you who believe, verse 19, Surah Nisa, O you who believe, you are forbidden to inherit women against their will. Nor should you treat them with harshness, that you may take away part of the dower you have given them, except where they have been guilty of open lewdness. On the contrary, live with them on a footing of kindness and equity. If you take a dislike to them, it may be that you dislike a thing and Allah brings about through it a great deal of good. Zainab bin Josh should have stuck to Zaid bin Harith. In pagan Arabia's widows were, this is married himself. If a wife is at fault, then it is she who must relinquish her dower, whole or in part, to obtain separation. For details, refer to fiqh. Understanding the biological handicaps of women, men should live with them with tolerance and justice, even if they do not love them. Love is written here. Ali commentary, I'm reading the commentary now. Even if they do not love them, because men may not like a thing, yet Allah might have endued it with goodness, love, justice, love. Endured it with goodness. Men may not. So even if you do not love them, for Allah, for justice, be tolerant and just with them. And if Allah has endured them with all these good qualities, all these great things, my God, qualities, Allah might have endured it with goodness, love, justice, goodwill, and fair treatment, is the essence of matrimonial code of Islam. What? Matrimonial marriage code of Islam. Marriage code of Islam. Even if the woman, here it says women, Understanding the biological handicaps of women. Men should live with them with tolerance and justice. So Zaid should accept Zainab bin Josh even if she was handicapped and he didn't like her. He didn't love her, even if they do not love them. And justice, even if they do not love them. Because men may not like a thing, yet Allah might have endured it with goodness, love, justice, goodwill, fair treatment, and fair treatment. And fair treatment is the essence of matrimonial code of Islam. And if you wish to have one wife in place of another and you have given, no. I'm reading the 20th verse of Surah Nisa. Now, I read the commentary a little bit here and there, not the whole commentary. Sorry, I didn't say where I would start from, but here is the verse. Verse 19 of Surah Nisa, Surah 4 of the Quran. O ye who believe, you are forbidden to inherit women against their will, nor should you treat them with harshness, that you may take away part of the dower you have given them, except, etc., etc., except where they have been guilty of open lewdness. On the contrary, live with them on a footing of kindness and equity. This is how Zaid and Zainab bin Josh should have lived with each other. If you take a dislike to them, this should be told to Zainab bin Josh. If you take a dislike to them, it may be that you dislike a thing and Allah brings about through it a great deal of good. God has already explained this here in this part of the verse. That upper part of the verse is for in pagan Arabia, widows were divided amongst the heirs of a deceased as goods. I'm reading the commentary, Ali commentary. Puya Ali commentary. It's in black. So in pagan Arabia, all this, right? And deceased as goods and cattle. Amongst the heirs of a deceased as goods and cattle, their heir either married the widow to someone else and kept her dower, or refused to let her marry unless he was paid a handsome amount as a settlement, or else married her himself. Another maneuvering was to harass the wives by imprisoning them in their houses in order that they might be forced to claim separation and thus to relinquish their dower or their inheritance. All such barbaric customs were swept aside by this verse. If the wife is at fault, then it is she who must relinquish her dower, whole or in part, to obtain separation. For details, refer to fiqh. Understanding the biological handicaps of women, men should live with them with tolerance and justice. Men should live with them with tolerance and justice, even if they do not love them. Even if the women do not love them, or even if these men do not love them. So there's a comma, even if they do not love them, comma. Because men may not like a thing, even if they do not love their women. Because men may not like a thing, yet Allah might have endured it with goodness. So if apply it to Zainab bin Josh against Zaid, because she was highborn. She felt she was highborn. getting married to the adopted son of Rasulullah, Zaid. So apply this to Zainab bin Josh and Zaid. No, first Zainab bin Josh, because Zainab bin Josh felt she had a problem. Allah might have endured it with goodness. Allah might have endured Zaid with goodness, love, justice, goodwill, and fair treatment is the essence of Allah might have endured it with goodness. Sorry. Okay? Full stop. Sorry, I made a mistake here. Kept making a mistake here. Yet Allah might have endured it with goodness. Full stop. Love, justice, goodwill, and fair treatment is the essence of the matrimonial code of Islam. Is the essence. So even if they do not love them, because men may not like a thing, yet Allah might have endured it with goodness. Endured it with goodness. Endured the woman with goodness. Love, justice, goodwill, and fair treatment is the essence of the matrimonial code of Islam. Even if they do not love them, because men may not like a thing, and then why is love coming in this? So in Surah Maryam we are told that those who believe and do good deeds, the gracious God creates love in their hearts. So we can say that as a prayer in a marriage ceremony in nikah. Oh God, make my husband love me, and oh God, let the love grow and come in our hearts for each other. Blessings from you and grace and all this between husband and wife. We can pray for another in the nikah, remembering this verse of Surah Maryam. Unfortunately, when I think of this, but this the Shia say was for a reason. This was for a reason in Surah Ahzab. A higher reason. Something is missing that I feel the Shias have missed, and that I can't understand. So where is it now? Surah Ahzab. You see, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Because we need Allah. We always need Allah. We've always invoked Allah and Rasulullah's blessings, like send them blessings and salutations. Remember that verse here? Or where is it? Oh my goodness. Send out the blessings and to this Prophet Muhammad. Right? Angels and Allah send blessings on him. So when we do this, our wedding should be blessed. And there should be no problem. Love should come from Allah because we too are believers. The ones who are getting married are believers. And then we say no. If some problem occurs in marriage, it's not because the blessings were, it's not because of the fault of religion. It's because of one of your fault, the couple's fault. But here Prophet Muhammad has sent the proposal of Zaid for Zainab bin Josh. At the time of their marriage, when she was informed by the Holy Prophet, she did not like the proposal, marriage proposal. She did not like it at the time of their marriage. So her brother Abdullah, this is like they're getting married. This is just before the marriage. Zayd's marriage with the Holy Prophet's cousin Zainab, daughter of Josh, was celebrated before the Hijrah, 8 years before. I'm just reading the commentary here now. I'm in Surah Ahzab under verse 36. Ali, Puya Ali commentary. So they, at the time of the marriage proposal, it should be right, when the marriage proposal was sent, Zainab bin Josh, but it said, anyways, the way it says here, I have to read it like that. I'm very scared of this. At the time of their marriage, when she was informed by the Holy Prophet, she did not like the proposal. So her brother Abdullah bin Josh, semicolon, and both of them, according to Imam Muhammad bin Ali al-Baqir, wanted to exercise their freedom of choice in this matter. Then this verse was revealed. This one, verse 36. We must not put our own wisdom in competition with Allah's wisdom. We must accept it loyally. It's explaining the verse. And do the best, like why Zainab had to obey Prophet Muhammad's orders about this proposal. It is not fitting for a believer, man or woman, when I'm reading the verse now, 36 from Surah Ahzab. It is not fitting for a believer, man or woman, when a matter has been decided by Allah and His Messenger, to have any option about their decision. If anyone disobeys Allah and His Messenger, he is indeed on a clearly wrong path. So Shias mean to say that it's okay, the marriage broke, Zainab was highborn, so temporary sacrifice Rasulullah had to make them do, and they don't even call it a temporary sacrifice. It's just me saying that. Don't you think you should consider the sacrifice painful, how it was? And why should the marriage break? And when you said to him to whom Allah had shown favor, now Zayd has approached Holy Prophet. In verse 37, sorry, I keep saying Surah, it's Surah Ahzab. And when you said to him to whom Allah had shown favor, and to whom you had shown a favor, keep your wife to yourself. Keep your wife to yourself. Where am I? Keep your wife to yourself and be careful of your duty to Allah. And you concealed in your soul what Allah would bring to light. And you feared men, and Allah had a greater right that you should fear Him. But when Zayd had accomplished his want of her, so they explained this verse. We gave her to you. I'll just show you how they explain this verse. You know, when careful of your duty, you feared men. Like, because you see, they say here, and but when Zayd had accomplished his want of her, meaning, like, they explain that. I'll just read it later. Continuing, we gave her to you as a wife, so that there should be no difficulty for the believers in respect of the wives of their adopted sons, when they have accomplished their want of them, and Allah's command shall be performed. There is no harm. No, see commentary 38. This is Akabuyas. Man's responsibility is to Allah, and particularly a prophet's submission to Allah's will had to be of the highest degree in conveying Allah's message or in carrying out his commands. Prophet had to fear none other than Allah. Muhammad is not the father of any of your men, but he is the messenger of Allah. He is the messenger of Allah and the last of the prophets, and Allah is cognizant of all things. Reading the verse. Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. Aka Mehdi Puya says, Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. Annuls the pagans' laws concerning the adopted children. But it does not mean that his posterity was cut off. See commentaries and all this. Distinguished Nisa people has been used in the verse to exclude Raj min rijalikun of your men. Has been used in this verse to exclude all others from the progeny of the Holy Prophet. The word Khatam implies not only the finality but also signifies that the Holy Prophet is the testimony of the truthfulness of all the earlier prophets. And the seal of God. And the last of the prophets, yeah. Seal of Khatam. Okay, so sorry, where do I go now? So they explain about this, I don't know, in the earlier. Adopted son is not the real son, and all other Quranic injunctions are valid in all ages. You did fear the people. This is the commentary I started reading. Where is it under? Oh, it's under verse 36, not 37. Aka Medipuya says, an adopted son is not the real son, and all other Quranic injunctions are valid in all ages. You did fear the people implies that the right course should be followed. But you made them witnesses. And we are not told in the verse. We are told that these people were made witnesses. Well, we are told that the right course should be, it implies that the right course should be followed. Because the people were on the wrong course, practicing this foolish pagan customs. They were pagans following this custom of pagans, foolish. So the right course should be taken. You did fear the people implies, it has a implied thing. It implies that the right course should be followed, whether the people like it or not. As said in verse 54 of Maida, they fear not the censor of the censorers. Prophethood does not deprive the prophet and his family of essential human rights divinely legislated for all. For in divorce, widow began to disturb the family of Banu Hashem. In fact, Zainab's parents wanted to give Zainab's hand to the Holy Prophet right from the beginning. But at the Holy Prophet's command, she was married to Zaid. Now she and her brothers and other members of the family asked the Holy Prophet to marry her. Then the verse 37 was revealed, and the Holy Prophet married her. The issue of an adopted son has been dealt with in the commentary verse 4 of this surah. So before marrying Zaid, we are told here in the commentary section that Zainab's family, what's this? For polygamy, referred to the commentary of Nisa, bond of marriage to be dissolved. So why did Prophet Muhammad had to get Zainab the highborn could not reconcile herself with Zaid? Both were good believers. And both were good believers. But Zainab could not reconcile. And both were good believers. Both loved the Holy Prophet. Both loved the Holy Prophet, we are told. But there was mutual incompatibility. And this proved to be the cause of separation between them. The Holy Prophet I'm just saying this. The Holy Prophet, the Holy Prophet blessings and all, where are they for marriage? This Allah and His messengers blessings for this marriage. Since He proposed, He brought out the proposal that Zainab should marry Zaid. So what happened is, mutual incompatibility. And this proved to be the cause of separation between them. Zaid wished to divorce her. I'm sorry, the Holy Prophet tried his best. That's why Zaid wished to divorce her, because at first she didn't agree, but the Holy Prophet forced under duress, like obey me and obey Allah, and what the decision we have decided. So, and obedience is due to Allah and the Messenger, and no believer has a say in that. Hello, excuse me. And then they go on to say that this marriage mutually incompatible, and this proved to be the cause of separation between them. Zaid wished to divorce her. The Holy Prophet tried his best to prevent separation between them. Aren't they believers? Holy Prophet has tried his best to prevent separation between them. Oh, please. Excuse me, Shias. I tried my best. He tried his best. Oh my goodness. His efforts are not working. Forget the blessings of Rasulullah. The grace of Allah, the blessings of Allah, angels, Rasulullah are not working. And there where he breaks an oath, in Surah Tahrim, we are told, against these wives, Allah, Gabriel, the angel, moreover, angels, and the righteous among the believers will help you. Now, why didn't the angels, Allah, Gabriel, help him at the moment when his wives were annoying him about the honey thing? I don't believe in the honey thing anymore. And he has said, and what is God saying? And the Shias over there also make this excuse for him. Breaking of an oath. He tried his best. I mean, if now, Rasulullah just comes, I would have awestruck and, oh my God, Rasulullah, get up and, go down and we won't go down to his feet. Maybe I will touch his feet, I don't know. But he will not allow me. The thing is that, awestruck. Hello, what if I tell you blessings of Rasulullah are not going to work for a marriage, successful marriages? So stop saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Because here the Prophet has tried his best, we are told, to prevent separation between them. Because Zainab's reputation would be ruined, but as marriage should be according to Allah's plan. A source of happiness, not torture. Allah should have thought before this, and they should have lived happily ever after. It was torture. A source of happiness, not torture. Islam permits the bond of marriage to be dissolved, provided that all interests concerned are safeguarded. Refer to the commentary of Nisa 3, verse 3, for polygamy, and Al-Baqarah, and after the divorce, Al-Baqarah, for divorce, these verses. After the divorce, Zainab's misery as a widow began to disturb the family of Banu Hashim. What painful. How painful. She's in misery after the divorce. In marriage, she's in misery. After marriage, in marriage, she's in torture. After marriage, she's in misery. As a widow, began to disturb the family of Banu Hashim. In fact, Zainab's parents wanted to give Zainab's hand to the Holy Prophet right from the beginning, but Rasulullah could not see that giving her to Zaid would cause her such torture and him to so much pain, and then after the divorce she would be in such misery. But the family of Banu Hashim knew that they wanted her to get married to the Holy Prophet. But the Holy Prophet, hand to the Holy Prophet right from the beginning, but at the Holy Prophet's command, she was married to Zaid. Why like this roundabout manner? And now he tried his best there, the Holy Prophet. But, Holy Prophet trying his best still failed. He couldn't save the marriage. Now she and her brothers and other members of the family asked the Holy Prophet to marry her. Do you detect some dishonest deception? Then the verse 37 was revealed, and the Holy Prophet married her. The issue of an adopted. He was waiting for God to say, now I allow you to marry Zaid. Oh, sorry. No, excuse me. I allow you to marry Zainab bin Josh. Zaid's divorcee. Your adopted sons. I wonder why he did this. I mean, Shias would say that he did this to establish that this foolish practice, heavily practiced, And the Muslims maybe also were not leaving it, because the Holy Prophet himself practiced this foolish practice. And then to completely establish strongly that your sons, he was waiting for God's revelations to come and tell these people. So this is really something. And I'm sorry, I don't understand. There's no harm in the Prophet doing that which Allah has ordered for him. Such has been the course of Allah with respect to those who have gone before. And the command of Allah is a decree that is made absolute. Shias, I think I've had enough now. Maybe I should, for now, I'll just, the oath breaking. Just look at, briefly I'll go, you can have your great reasons. This was a great character, exalted character. So I'll just go to Surah Tahrim, exalted character. Yes, and don't forget that he made a mistake. You made a unintentional mistake. God even tells him that you made an unintentional mistake. But that's okay. God and them were reconciled because God wasn't sending any revelations at that time, allowed him to do this. So for the betterment of you Muslims and Mu'mins later on, at the cost of Zainab and misery after the divorce even, and in the marriage with Zaid, and this Prophet Muhammad, we are told in the commentary section, he tried his best not to, so that they wouldn't get separated. But no, that what's the why then do we say Allahumma in marriages? Why do we invoke the blessings of Allah? Oh, angels on Prophet Muhammad and ourselves. I mean, we have to also invoke, or this blessing that Allah has given us in the Quran ayat. What's the use of all this when we are told Prophet Muhammad tried his best to keep the marriage between Zaid and Zainab? Hello, I'm trying to contemplate what point you mean to Shias. Please, that when Banu Hashim, Zainab's family wanted Zainab to get married to him, we are told in the commentary section below the verse. Then Prophet Muhammad, why did Prophet Muhammad give Zainab bin Josh to Zaid? The parents are ready. Could it be for another reason that we're not told here? To break the cousin? Maybe the pagan Arabs didn't approve of marriages between cousins, close cousins. That we are not something. Yeah, this is what I was thinking before also. And then, no, but the Shias dare not. We dare not question. Why shouldn't we? Huh? This question has come up. Irreligious, sacrilegious. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Sacrilegious. And then, why would Zainab, Prophet Muhammad tried his best? Huh? And he failed. He failed. meaning Zainab bin Josh failed him. And yet they were good believing men and women. They loved the Prophet, Holy Prophet so much. We are told in the commentary section, this is multilingual Quran, Aka Puya Ali commentary. This is Shia accounts, from the Shia accounts. Please think for a while. How can I, in my common sense, it doesn't, even as a Shia, it doesn't, when it didn't make sense to me without reading the commentary. Now that I'm reading the commentary, it moreover doesn't make sense to me. Even more so doesn't make sense to me. Shocking silence, please. I need some time. Take a break. So Zainab and Josh, another point, and Zaid had to go through this misery, painful marriage, temporarily. Yeah. Sacrifice for us believers. Adopted sons, no more, technically. And you can marry to lighten the burden of the believers. Now you can marry your adopted sons, divorcees, divorced wives. And Prophet Muhammad is praised so much. And yet we are told, I have not again mentioned it here, have I? You made a mistake. Yeah, I mentioned it once. But don't just go pass by it just like that. An innocent mistake he didn't intend to make. He practiced the foolish pagan. And don't listen to hypocrites and disbelievers. So God wants to emphasize by making Prophet Muhammad practice, listen to the disbelievers, make these hypocrites and disbelievers a witness to, last time I was saying like an error I had made in saying this, made them witness that he has made Zaid his son and now he's Zaid's father. How many of you, if you knew that this is going to happen later on, how many of you would bear witness to this? Rasulullah's, in God's wisdom, greatest, highest wisdom. But don't you think that these hypocrites, disbelievers, aren't they criticized, over-criticized? When the Prophet himself has made them, some of these Muslims, Mormons, a witness. And then these moments like Zainab bin Josh and Zaid cannot even maintain that marriage. Prophet Muhammad trying his best later on. So don't you think since Zainab bin Josh failed the Prophet Muhammad's efforts, best efforts, was she a spoiled? She couldn't. So wouldn't you say that to me? I'm so stubborn. Zahra, Prophet Muhammad tried his best in your marriage with Zaid. And you're saying you are highborn and you just cannot take Zaid. You can't stand Zaid. You will point fingers at me. When here, as this kind of a, let's say the way I was as a Shia, if Prophet Muhammad, The moment I was told I gave up my loved one, I sacrificed 8 years, it will happen on its own. I didn't go to the principal's house. 8 years, I became insane and I had to take it myself. I didn't even give her a call when I worried about her health. And what if she has passed away? 1, 2 dreams. And then my aunt told me, don't believe in these dreams that Ali Asghar has sent you this. And then don't believe in the Jula of Ali Asghar saying yes and sending you. Don't believe. And I was like, no, I cannot go against this. My love for the principal, it gives, and my love for Ahlul Bayt and my faith in Ahlul Bayt. You're still going to say that I'm stubborn. I don't understand this. Person like me who couldn't pray namaz but was feeling guilty and scared and scared and scared, getting stuck somewhere after death. But adhered to the dreams I had of Ahlul Bayt telling me, you don't go, it will happen on its own. It's good that you don't go to your principal's place and meet her or have anything to do with her. But then in my dreams, like messing me about, like Hazrat Abbas saying in my dream that I will go get water for Bibi Sakina, and I'm crying there, weeping in misery. In year 2000, until after 8 years, I went to her place. Somewhere in year 2000, I stopped in the beginning years to go and meet her because the dreams started to come and I became insane. Are you telling me that here Zainab bin Josh, even after best efforts of Prophet Muhammad to mend their marriage, failed? And then you're going to blame me for being stubborn and spoiled? And then we come to, okay, so these points, just think about it. In a dream, if Rasulullah came to me and said, don't go to the principal, I would. He didn't say this. Actually, I cried. I saw Bibi Fatima Zahra's grave. Please let me not miss her. I was in maddening misery, anguish, torture. And you're telling me that he tried his best with the Zaid and Zainab, but it didn't work out? That Zainab failed him, and yet she's called a believing woman. And then Prophet has married her. And then we are told that she was so miserable after the divorce also. And then, of course, the parents wanted her to get married to the Prophet. This is all Shia account approval, even if it's coming from the Sunni sources, but they've seen thoroughly that these are the true accounts. Yes, it fits in here. It fits. As long as it doesn't give Prophet Muhammad a bad name, ruin his reputation, God forbid. Never can we dream of, imagine doing this. So as long as these from Sunni hadiths and seerats and all go in the favor of Prophet Muhammad, we put it there. Because never can we imagine that he was such a person, such a prophet. But you're putting there, he failed, he tried his best efforts. Oh my goodness, you're giving me madness, another kind of madness. Surah Tahrim, Ayat 1. This is the 66th chapter of the Quran. Verse 1. O Prophet, why do you forbid yourself that which, yourself in bracket, close bracket, yourself, that which Allah has made lawful for you? Hmm? Okay, so now it comes that the wives were on his head, annoying him. And then here we are not told that Maria and Hafsa, Maria the Coptic, Maria the Coptic. Oh my God! Here, the history has been put here. The narration, wherever it came from, about the honey, recorded in by Bukhari in his commentary on Tahrim, in his Sahih, volume 3, page 136, about the honey. In the same place are recorded several traditions as related by Umar bin Khattab, stating that the two women, Aisha and Hafsa, were insolent and haughty towards the Holy Prophet. About the honey and the nauseating herb, Aisha had devised a plot and all this. And Hafsa followed suit, was her companion in this. Okay, and then somewhere I read that Aka Puya says that the enemies of Allah wanted Umayyads or someone, so they put this in against the Prophet Muhammad on a day. But here it is not put here in the commentary. It's just put without any warning or disclaimer by the Shias. On a day assigned to Hafsa, when she was not found in her apartment, as she went to her parents' house, the Holy Prophet spent the night with Maria, the Coptic girl, because it's with a Y, Maria, the Coptic girl, presented to him by the ruler of Egypt, who became the mother of his son Ibrahim. To calm the quarrelsome bad temper of Hafsa, he vowed that he would have no more to do with Maria. The wives of the Holy Prophet were expected to show a high standard in behavior. As they were in the company of the superior most teacher of manners, not husband, most teacher. Better not to get married to him, because you've ruined your end. You'll be finished, punished forever, double punishment for you, wives of the Prophet. Oh my God. And people, Shias mostly take this honey one. Honey. They say, no, we reject this Maria the Coptic thing. It was from the enemy. Why would these two wives want to go to hell? Get double punishment? Are they insane? No, we are told they were hypocrites. So hypocrites broke the covenant. They didn't even believe that this prophet was a true prophet. And that their fathers had cornered our Prophet Muhammad. Now your Prophet Muhammad. They had cornered Prophet Muhammad to marry their daughters. So didn't he do the same thing with Zainab bin Josh to marry Zaid? In fact, a verse from the Quran came down that you should obey Allah, you believing men and women. When Allah and the Messenger have decided upon a matter, you must obey Allah and the Messenger of Allah. And yet the marriage doesn't work. And it ends in a divorce Widow Zainab is still in misery. This is what you do, you Allah and you. Even after your best efforts, Zainab has failed you. And you are saying Zainab was a good believing woman. So was Zaid. Okay, who trapped Prophet Muhammad into marrying Aisha and Hafsa? Shia accounts, after research, thorough research, through Sunni hadiths also, and the Sirat of Prophet Muhammad, maybe included. I mean, I could safely say the Sunni sources, they looked into the matter. So, we are told very conveniently, I think, if you ask me now, I mean, he was forced into marrying Aisha and Hafsa by their fathers, respectively, Abu Bakr and Umar bin Khattab. O Prophet, why do you forbid that which Allah has made lawful for you? Oh, I'm reading the verse 1. You seek to please your wives, and Allah is forgiving, merciful. If any vow prevents from doing good or acting rightly, one should expiate the vow. Okay, here it is written, just in the commentary section. Also, the wives of the Holy Prophet were expected. Oh no, the Holy Prophet's mind was sorely distressed. If any vow prevents from doing good, verse 1 was revealed to say that as Allah has allowed him honey and Maria, he did not have to forsake any of them. So come on, if the enemies have written this, added this false hadith, there was Maria or a false sirat added into there, then whatever, even if it is Maria, he did not have to forsake any of them. And if any vow prevents from doing good or acting rightly, any vow prevents from doing good or acting rightly, one should expiate the vow, but not refrain from doing good deeds. And the Prophet didn't know about this. Of course he knew about this. And why are you taking an oath? You know they have been annoying you about the honey. I mean, here, if you take the first part of the honey, Aisha was on a constant this thing with Prophet Muhammad, going to Zainab's apartment, constantly annoying him. So this was not one day. The Maria thing was one day. Hafsa saw in her bed, in her house, apartment. This honey thing was, Aisha and Hafsa were constantly at Prophet Muhammad after him. So please, you don't have to take a vow. You can say, Allah has allowed me this. Oh, I've already mentioned this Facebook live streams. Oh my goodness. No, but Shias, they would do anything to protect this Prophet. I don't know why. To make a vow to, Aka Mehdi Puya says, to make a vow to do a thing which one has the option to do or not to do is permissible in Islam if there is good in it. Then why even to make a vow to do a thing which one has the option to do or not to do is permissible in Islam if there is good in it. Ooh. Okay, I'm so confused here. To make a vow. See, the oh, I wonder if I'm Satan. Satan has come in my head to make a vow to do a thing which one has the option to do or not to do. Why even make a vow? Just say that, how can I not do this? Because God has allowed me and made it lawful for me. But no, God's verse has to come down to show them. Show these doubtful, disbelieving hypocrites. No, wait a minute. Oh, Prophet, why do you forbid yourself? Why should... Yeah. See, Hafsa, Aisha, this revelation has come to me. Oh, Prophet, why do you forbid? I'm forbidding. I made a... And no, okay? And the second verse of Surah Tahrim, 66th chapter of the Quran. Verse 2. Allah indeed has sanctioned for you, made lawful, pictorial, sanctioned, shakir, for you the expiation of your oaths. And Allah is your protector and He is the knowing, the wise. So, you know what the Shia say about what you do? You also let the believers do the same thing. So that there shouldn't... I mean, some of the things the Prophet does we're not allowed to do. Allah has already ordained for you, O men, the dissolution of your oaths in some cases. And Allah is your protector and He is full of knowledge and wisdom. And when the Prophet secretly communicated a piece of information, what was this piece of information secretly communicated to one of his wives? I went to... Of course, everyone knows he has to go to Zainab bin Josh's place. So where's the honey? Where's the honey secret? What's the secret in the honey taking? Or going to Zainab bin Josh? She's his wife now. And when the Prophet secretly communicated, divulged it, Allah... okay, Shakir. And when the Prophet secretly communicated a piece of information to one of his wives, but when she informed others of it, sorry, right now my mind, I'm not getting it, and Allah made him to know it, He made known part of it and avoided part. So when He informed her of it, she said, who informed you of this? He said, the knowing, the one aware, informed me. And when the Prophet secretly communicated a piece of information to one of his wives, what does this consist of? See commentary for verse 1. And then look at this, verse 4. If you both turn to Allah, then indeed your hearts are already inclined to this. And if you back up each other against Him, then surely Allah it is who is His guardian, and Jibreel Archangel Gabriel, and the believers, i.e. Imam Ali according to the Shia accounts, and the believers that do good, and the angels after that are the aiders. So excuse me, they should have come before when Aisha was harassing the Prophet, was on a plan constantly. She had made this, she was on like constantly. Aisha and Hafsa have been discussing light of truth. So now God is telling them, the wives, listen, you both, after he's made an oath and to please his wives. Oh my God. And not to, do what he's made it, he's forbade himself to do what Allah has made lawful for him. He's made a vow on top. So why didn't Allah, Jibreel, and who else is there? The believers, Imam Ali, and who else is there? Angels more. He's so scared of these two wives. Why should he be scared of these two wives? O Prophet, why do you forbid? So here we are told he forbids. Oh my God. If they could have, Allah could, angels, Jibreel could have come to his rescue at this time, or before that even. The Holy Prophet, commentary, Puya Ali commentary on verse 1. The Holy Prophet used to drink a glass of honey syrup. Whenever he visited the apartment of Zainab, Aisha and Hafsa became resentful, and Aisha devised a plot. They had, oh my God, knowing the Holy Prophet's dislike of unpleasant smells, she held her nose when he came to her apartment after drinking a glass of honey syrup prepared by Zainab, and accused him of having eaten the produce of a very ill-smelling tree. When she accused him of having eaten maghafir, a nauseating herb, the Holy Prophet said that he had taken only honey. That's a good answer. She said the bees had fed on maghafir, but honey doesn't smell. When he visited Hafsa, and oh my goodness. So we are told what stupid things Aisha has been saying. The bees had fed on maghafir. When he visited Hafsa, she also acted just like Aisha, displeased with their obnoxious behavior. The Holy Prophet vowed not to eat honey anymore. Is he in his proper, is he that prophet, such high exalted, all we have to obey, infallible? The Shias have to obey, without question, without doubt. Is this the proof of his true prophethood? Why would the Holy Prophet vow not to eat honey anymore? Doesn't he know that honey doesn't smell? Even if the bees have eaten from this maghafir. You know how bitter the plants are and all this, wherever they make beehives. whatever. I mean, how could bees come? Yeah, bees come and take it from flower or some plant. Anything. Maghafir. I mean, this is, we are told here, Aisha devised a plot. It was a false thing they made up. Aisha made up, then told Hafsa to also act like that with the Holy Prophet. They duped the Holy Prophet. Like right now, if God had come, a revelation, and Jibreel had told them that, Baba, oh my goodness, Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, Hafsa and Aisha first had devised a plot. And this is all false, they are telling you. You don't have to make any vows or anything anymore. In verse 6, we are told Allah is there to defend him. Jibreel is there to defend him. Imam Ali, believers, the best among the believers, or whatever. Okay, and the angels. Oh, moreover, angels are there to help him. If one angel comes, and we say Jibreel is the angel of revelation. Okay, please send Jibreel down. What stupidity is this? Why isn't the angel coming here? So all this about Aisha and Hafsa being exposed so that you people know how terrible these two wives of the Prophet were, how they annoyed him. Please. What wisdom, just exposing these two hypocrites. He's made himself look stupid and a liar. No Jibreel coming to tell him the truth that, oh my God, Allah has sent a revelation that these two wives are lying. So do not make vows of not eating honey, because the honey you are eating is not bad smelling. Even if it was from the tree, this herb, maghafir, bad smelling, where the honey is made a beehive, this honey doesn't smell. Why are you making a vow? Don't go under duress or something. Don't get, all. I mean, Jibreel has to come and tell him this. Prophet Muhammad is so innocent, vowed not to eat honey anymore. See, displeased with their obnoxious behavior. No, he knew that the honey was not bad smelling. Only because he was displeased with their, oh, you just want to expose Hafsa and Aisha so badly. Only displeased with the behavior of these two, and he knows that Aisha and Hafsa are lying. What did he do? He knew that Aisha and Hafsa are lying. Displeased by the obnoxious behavior, the Prophet high exalted, obeying him is like obeying Allah, equal to obeying Allah. Obeying him is not like obeying him is obeying Allah. Let's say like that, right? It's a verse in the Quran, Surah Nisa, I think. I hope this time I've got it right. At least the surah name and number 4. Hello, Shias. such exalted, who does not speak out of his will. Surah Najm ayat, Surah Jinn ayat, how he's protected left, right and center. Ending ayats. Oh, who has been hiding? I mean, even a 17-year-old, if he had Shia who had access to this, unless he doesn't get brainwashed and so fearful that he's become dull and can't question, can't think for himself, because you've made him so dull and so overwhelmed, overawed with the Prophet, about the Prophet being infallible and making no mistakes, that he can just digest all this nonsense, all this, and take your lies, the way you are defending him, the way Allah is defending him, the way you are saying Allah is right, he's infallible, don't question him. Without question, we have to follow him because he's the true prophet and such exalted and character, of such exalted character, of such, he's the mercy. He does not go against, and when Allah says he makes an unintentional mistake, we have to understand that it is for the good of our mu'mineen, mu'minat. Let alone that Zainab bin Josh is miserable. They went through a painful, she went through a painful with Zaid had to divorce her. Leave all that. You just rejoice that the believers, what you will get. You can even expiate your oaths that you make, which are not really, with something thoughtlessness in it. Believers now, since Prophet Muhammad did it here in Surah Tahrim, such a stupid, obnoxious. Jibrail then didn't come to protect him earlier on when they were annoying him. Later on, we are told in verse 6 that, oh, who believes in you? Jibreel should have come before he made this oath. Why do you forbid your wives? Why do you forbid yourself? Why do you forbid to please your wives what Allah has made lawful for you? Verse 1 in Surah Tahrim. Shouldn't Jibreel have come, protected him? Oh God, given him strength. We strengthen this ayat we strengthen Jesus Christ with the Holy Spirit. He could take so much, we are told, without the sword. Oh please, without the believers and without Jibreel, he could take so much because only one thing. We strengthened Isa al-Masih, Ibn Maryam, or whatever the verse says, I've forgotten now in the Quran. However, it addresses Isa al-Masih, Ibn Maryam, in that verse, particularly when it says, we strengthened him with the Holy Spirit. Have you heard of these ridiculous things? Breaking oaths and pleasing your wives. Then you say, oh my God, Rasulullah was such a great man because, he was acting as a husband to his wives. Wanting to please his wives. They were annoying him. But then question yourself. But he's the Prophet also. And Aisha and Hafsa are going to get it. Double punishment for annoying the Prophet of the Messenger of Allah, not the husband. He's not an ordinary husband. They're going to be Ummul Mu'mineen. I mean, they're already Ummul Mu'mineen. Sorry. Oh goodness. And so they're the prophet, messenger of Allah's wives. They can't afford to do these things. And then he takes an oath. Then he tells his wives, I won't do it again. I take an oath. I forbid myself this which Allah has made lawful for me. Then Allah sends down the verse later on. All this had to happen for good. And then now for the believers, you can also expiate your oaths. You're saying, yeah, whatever the Prophet Muhammad does, not whatever, some of the things the Prophet Muhammad does, believers are also allowed to do. Not all things. I oath, you know. So now in Surah Maida, Surah Baqarah, the expiation of oaths by believers, you either do this or that, or set a slave free, or fast for 3 days. If you can't afford to set a slave free, or pay money, or something like this. Okay. Oh, and then when you don't mean, and it is good, that, why even make an oath when in your oaths there are these thoughtless things? It's like oath. I tell you, and that Prophet Muhammad was such an honest man. I mean, trustworthy. So now he's asking the believers that you can, this is the way if something happens in your life. Example, you can make an oath and say, well, this, I made a contract with you, but it didn't come on time. I have to pay the fine. What is unintentional, what is thoughtless. So I'm a bit like, it's like, by the seal of God, Allah, I promise to you, no, in business, I promise to you I'll be selling you this, sending you 5 in a wholesale or whatever it is called. And that if it doesn't reach you, or whatever damages or whatever happens, even a common lawyer knows how to write these things. A business lawyer, corporate lawyer, or in trade and all this. Oh my God. So, but what? So, if in case there's an accident or something, shouldn't you be so careful? Oh, I'll try to get this in my head. I'm trying to understand it. Sorry, I'm not very clear about the oath thing. How can you make a thoughtless oath? What is thoughtless in your oaths? Where was that? So, what is thoughtless in your oaths? Allah indeed has sanctioned for you the expiation. There's no commentary here under this verse. So, what is thoughtless in your oaths? Oh, I'll have to search for that now. So I'm taking a break. I don't know when. Maybe take a long break, and then I don't know whether I should talk about these oaths and all. But what I am very confused about, and I don't want to get stuck in this confusion. So no, I do not think the Prophet Muhammad, I would believe in such a prophet who broke my heart, forced me to get married to Zed. Just put yourself in Zainab bin Josh's, and then gave Zed that broken marriage and painful marriage. And then he's tried his best. None of them, it hasn't worked to bring them and keep them together. Oh my God. And yet we are told, oh, and then, oh, and no love, but obedience to Allah and Prophet Muhammad, Messenger of Allah, for marriage. No choice. My heart's not in it. And then imagine if a Sayyid who wants to protect me comes, says she's a rich lady, a daughter of a rich man, and I'm poor. And if I don't love him, my heart is not there. You say, what kind of a person is she? What kind of a female is she? She thinks she's rich and that's why she, in our religion, marry for piety, not for all these things, chastity. I'm trying to save you, come here. I'm trying to save you. And you want me, you don't even want me in your house. You're discouraging me. Whatever Shia Sayyid, the Shia Sayyids, some of them in Pakistan, or they don't even know that Prophet Muhammad himself in Surah Allah, his Allah has said, where Surah Nisa. So don't blame me. If you cannot afford to marry a free, chaste, believing woman, now you see, it's not because the person is but rich or not rich, poor. But you know what? Then I feel guilty. I will put yourself in. What did we Shias used to say? And then on top a Sayyid comes to, let's say, he feels it's his duty now, right? What if a Shia comes in? Poor Shia. But I'm not in love with him. And you're saying, don't look at the love in your heart. Dil aa gaya. Dil nahi aaya, Maulana Sahab. My dil is somewhere else. My heart is on someone else. So where is it? Surah Nisa ayat. Huh? What will you do? You'll say, what a terrible woman this is. We are trying to save her from fornication, bad things. She's handicapped. She's mentally ill. I came with the, trying to help her. Slowly, gradually. But what did she do? She acted bad with me to discourage me. And marry not women, only fathers. Forbidden unto your mothers. And all, 25. Verse 25 of Surah Nisa, 4 chapter of the Quran. Reading 25. And whoever among you has not within his power ampleness of means to marry free believing women, then brackets start, he may marry, brackets closed, of those whom your right hands possess from among your believing maidens. Let's make it very easy. Which is the easy? If any of you have not the means, and whoso is able to afford to marry free believing women is not able to. Big till. 25. And whoso is not able to afford to marry free believing women, let them marry from the believing maids whom your right hands possess. Why? This is not out of love or anything. This is because this guy fears that he will commit a sin. Although God has said, but to have patience would be better for you. But in case you do not have this patience, those who do not afford, I'm reading the commentary, Puya Ali commentary. I haven't read the whole verse though. Because of my health, please forgive me. Those who do not afford to marry those who cannot afford or do not afford to marry, let's say, do not. Those who do not afford to marry a free, believing woman and fear to fall into sin of adultery. If you say adultery, then he's married. If you say fornication, then he's single. He hasn't married. Or he's a divorced man. Or he's a widowed man. Okay. Fall into sin of adultery or fornication can marry a believing bondswoman. See, those who cannot afford to marry can, and also, okay, so they go for this and fear to fall into sin of adultery. Fear. Can marry a believing bondswoman with the consent of her guardian and after paying the dowry to her. Allah knows best. Your faith implies that a bondswoman may be more honorable with her Lord than her free husband. Okay. If the married bondswoman is guilty of adultery, inflict. Why would the poor married bondswoman now go into adultery? Okay, if, but please. And the man is never guilty because we've kept so many things open for the man. He can have temporary marriages and he can also marry these bondswomen. Oh God, is it the same as temp? No, this is a permanent marriage, right? I don't know, I'm sorry, but it is a marriage whom your right hands possess. And maybe Shia's, if any of you have not the means wherewith to wed free believing women, they may wed believing girls from among those whom your right hands possess. And Allah hath full knowledge about your faith. You are one from another. Wed them with the leave of their owners and give them their dowers, according to what is reasonable. They should be chaste, not lustful, nor taking paramours, secret lovers. And you haven't. Oh my goodness. And we shouldn't be, these poor women shouldn't be scared that you would take secret lovers because God has opened another door for the believers. They can go into another temporary marriage there with another. After they finish with this girl, they can go and find another girl and have a temporary marriage with her. And take the responsibility if they impregnate the girl of temporary marriage and give her money. Oh my God. So there's no love shove here. No love. And God is telling these believing men that you should check. They should be chaste, not lustful. What are you asking these believing men to do? Not to marry out of love, but fear. You have the fear of sin. But then God has put this very good, nice, oh, what a great, nice thing added. But it is better for you that you practice self-restraint. Now, once you allow permission for those among you who fear sin, the moment he said, no, I can't wait. It's not even healthy. Some of our alims say it's not even healthy for a married man to not be in this temporary marriages, or go marry another woman if you can find it. And here, free, and this rich woman, you cannot marry. She's free, she is a believing woman, but this right hands possessed is not such a free. She perhaps is a virgin. They may wed believing girls. Oh my God. From among those whom your right hands possess. I don't know what this really means. Who are these girls? Bondswomen. Some say bondswomen. So she gets half punishment. Why? Who do you think will have patience? It is better, maybe a very high kind of a person, a moment, but you've allowed. Why not just go for these women if you can find them, if they are available for you at that time? If not, keep patience until they become available for you. But you can't marry the rich ones because you can't afford to marry them. So when the Sayyids or some Shias, come and say that, oh, this girl, just put yourself in the shoes of this girl here. And then what do we say? What did our alim say? I heard my alim in Majlis saying, I'm kind of confused that you should not look at the money, the position, the status, you can afford to or not. Our Rasulullah has made it so convenient for us. It's just that, see the piety of the person. But no, here this verse doesn't say. It says, hands off. You can't afford these women. And then you're going to tell, oh, how rude, how unfair. We thought it was only for piety. But here, your Allah, oh my God, our Allah is saying, Surah Nisa, verse 25, if any of you have not the means wherewith to wed free believing women. Why is this? Now the Shia's brains are going to work, and they will find a good reason for this. Why is this? This is such a great thing. These free believing women are safe because they would have gotten fear. What if a rich man who can afford them has the fear of sin, fornication? How much are you hiding of this? The truth, tragedy, the hair splitting, the skull cracking, the brain damaging truth. How much are you hiding from us? Don't let me complete my sentence. If any of you, so if you go to an expert Shia in the Quran, expert in the Quran, would he ever tell you about this verse? Sayyids? We thought Majlis, Zakir, sermon givers, piety. Marry, seeing the piety, not the money that you can't afford or what you can afford. Allah will give you. Blessings will come. Do the sunnat of Rasulullah. Get married. Start. Bismillah karo. Start with Bismillah. God will give you bounties, increase you in your risk, in providence. If any of you have not the means wherewith to wed free believing women, how could you hide this? Then you see what if you are a poor Sayyid and you want to marry a free believing woman from your Sayyid? You can't. A free believing Sayyid. If you can't afford this Sayyid who is free. So what is the wisdom of God in this? To save this guy who fears for you among you who fear sin. Just for this, you're marrying. I mean, have you ever loved someone truly? Or just your family, your daughter, and gotten married for piety? No, here it says, yes, keep patience is better, I know that. But how many men, will be fearing that we will fall into sin? And then we are told, sin should be rid. Rasulullah came to clear us from all this sin, purify us. Yet if there is some man, there are many Muslims, Mu'mineen, Mu'minat. Okay, not all of them are of that caliber. They have mistreated their wives too. So, anyhow, no, not every religious person is a good man. Okay, thank you very much. You may debate, it's debatable, but I've shown you the main parts where from the Quran verses and commentaries and all this, and given you main points of how you would not want us to think that the Prophet is not infallible and has made mistakes and has broken oaths, but you always make a good excuse for it. And then your excuses will not do here. Then don't tell me I'm stubborn and I can't see. No, I can't see your side. So no Shia now can even convince me. For how long will I keep this room open in my brain? Hanging on to this religion. I'm an apostate. Thank you so much.